Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Reggie Reese, aka the Armchair Analyst, and this is the official first video on my channel pertaining to sports. The last video was an introductory video about myself and what this channel will be about. This video, we're getting into sports, and in this video, it's about the college football playoff. For those of you that don't know, the college football playoff, the rankings start tomorrow. They start tomorrow night on Tuesday, October the 30th. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very interested to see who's going to really be in the playoff. We kind of have an idea, but you never know, because this is I think 13-person committee. They might have dropped it down to 12. And you're dealing with different people and different personalities from all over the country coming together to determine who are the 4 best teams in college football periodically over the next couple of weeks. So we're starting out with the ACC. We're going to kind of go region by region. So we're going to go from east to west. And we're starting with the ACC. The ACC, they have Clemson coming in at number 2 in the AP poll, top 25 AP poll, just letting you know. Clemson's coming in at number 2. Boston College 24, Syracuse 22, Virginia 23, and those are the only 4 teams ranked from the ACC. And honestly, I don't think the ACC is really the toughest of conferences. Clemson right now is just running away with it. And it's kind of like a watered down situation with Alabama, where it's Clemson versus everybody else. Now, I know Trevor Lawrence had to get some time and some reps to get himself acclimated to the offense and his feet wet, taking on, D1 competition. But Clemson right now, they're just rolling past everybody. They just upended Florida State 2 days ago. And this week they take on a 2-6 Louisville team that, to me, they're not going to be much competition at all, just like Florida State. The best competition you're going to have so far could be next week against Boston College. And your best win right now is against ranked 22 Syracuse, who is holding up their end of the bargain. So if Clemson wins out, they're going to get in. Now, they're going to probably be number 2 in the country, but Clemson, they'll be fine. They're going to probably come out the ACC as the Coastal champions, and also coming out the ACC as the ACC champions. So onward, we're talking about the top 25 with the SEC, and that's Alabama, Georgia, and LSU, alongside Kentucky, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Florida. Florida. I'm sorry. I apologize beforehand. So these are the rankings. Number 1 is Alabama. Number 4 is LSU. 6, Georgia. 11, Kentucky. 13, Florida. 25, Texas A&M. And 21, Mississippi State. Sorry about the weird ordering of the rankings. The way I wrote them down, I didn't think about that beforehand. I apologize right now. So let's get into SEC football. Alabama, of course, they're the name that begins with SEC football, and they're the name that ends with SEC football. Currently 8-0, led by Tua Tagovailoa. They have the best offense in the nation, pretty much. Their defense, however, has not been tested. The number 1 test has come from Jordan Ta'amu from Ole Miss. And even though the Ole Miss Rebels have a great offense yardage-wise, it didn't really lead to anything against Alabama. And it looks like this weekend will be their biggest test in the form of LSU. And the LSU Tigers come into this game 7-1. They look really good themselves. They're coming off of a bye week, just like Alabama and just like Auburn. The LSU Tigers, they come into this game ranked number 4 by the AP poll, and their last victory was against the then number 2 Georgia Bulldogs. Now, this is kind of a half-hearted game, particularly on the LSU defensive side of things. When you look at the Tigers' defense, they lack Devin White. And that's, of course, the number 1 talking point from the LSU side. Devin White is suspended for the first half of the LSU-Bama game this weekend that is an imminent top 4 matchup in football this weekend, guaranteed. And to lose, honestly, your best player on defense in your most important game of the season so far, it speaks volumes. And I think a lot of people at the end of the game won't talk about if LSU loses. They won't talk about necessarily the fact that LSU lost, but more so the fact that LSU never had a chance to begin with because Devin White was suspended in the first 2 quarters. So if Alabama gets up to a 3-touchdown lead in the first quarter, people are going to say one of the best pass rushers in the country wasn't there in the first half. But at the end of the day, football's played in 2 halves, 4 quarters, not 1 half with 2 quarters. It's played with 2 halves and 4 quarters. And right now, it's the next man up. And someone has to step into Devin White's role, be that key pass rusher to try and slow down that very potent Alabama offense. Georgia's coming off of a huge win against Florida. They beat the Florida Gators this previous Saturday in the world's largest cocktail party. And Georgia right now sits at number 6. And their biggest competitions will so far come in the form of the Kentucky Wildcats. And the Kentucky Wildcats right now, they're 7-1. They have 1 loss in SEC competition, and that was at the hands of the Texas A&M Aggies on the road in College Station. And for Kentucky, it's real simple. I think they can get in. I believe they can make it to the SEC championship. I don't mean in as far as the playoff, no. But I do believe they can make it to the SEC championship. And I've been saying this for the past few weeks. Ever since they beat Florida, Kentucky's looked like a different team. They look completely different on both sides of the football. Now, this past weekend, they did only win 14-7 against the Vanderbilt Commodores, but they won. They're 7-1. And this Georgia game is at home in Lexington. And if I remember correctly, the last time Kentucky had a game with this sort of magnitude in the past couple of years at home was against LSU. And they beat the Tigers. And I believe they have a strong shot of beating the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, will it be tough? Of course it is. Kirby Smart's going to have his boys good to go. Jake Fromm, as long as he's consistent, as long as he's consistently making the right throws, he'll be fine. But Benny Snell Jr., Mark Stoops, in that Wildcat blue, they're on a roll. They're on a roll. And this looks to be a very, very interesting game in the coming weeks, as long as both teams hold up their ends of the bargain. So I'm going to close out this video really quickly. I believe in the going back to the ACC. I believe the ACC championship will come down to Clemson versus Miami. I think Miami will find a way to kind of win out. But I don't see them giving Clemson much trouble if they make it to the ACC championship. And honestly, it's Clemson's conference to lose. If Clemson loses at any point in the season, and I know this is a bold statement, if Clemson loses, the ACC will not be in the playoff for the first time in the history of the college football playoff. I don't see an ACC team making it if Clemson loses. Clemson needs to win out because they have now, of what it appears to be such an easy schedule, you expect a team of Clemson's caliber to win out. And that goes the same for Alabama. Now, if Alabama loses one time, they have a better response for making it into the playoff, trying to get the committee to, kind of get on their side. But their chances of getting into the playoff with one loss are way stronger compared to Clemson. And I think in the SEC title game, I really like Alabama versus Kentucky. I really believe you're going to see Wildcat Blue versus Bama Crimson. And I think Bama will win and get in. I think right now the playoff in January will come down to Bama and Clemson coming out of the SEC and the ACC. Now, my next video will be about the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Pac-12. I'm thinking about breaking it up into 2 more videos, but if I'm able to squeeze all 3 into one, then I promise you I will find a way to do that. As always, have a wonderful and great day. This is the Armchair Analyst, here to talk football, basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, you name it. If it's football and basketball related, you know we're going to talk about it. Have a wonderful day, and I'm out.